Yeah, we had to start the show because this is just too damn cute. Look how cute this is. Oh my god. Look how cute this is. Oh no, I wanna go to here, and I wanna take my solo layout. There we go. Look at how cute that is. That cat loves that boy so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that boy loves that cat. So, yeah, Nick and I were just literally got on, and we realized, oh God, we have nothing else to talk about but Gamescom because there was a lot that went down.
Yeah, and like it kind of took over the. It makes sense because it was a multi-day thing, and so all
Oh
the
yeah,
news that came out this week
and
was
there
from
was
it.
and with a lack of E3 now. Thanks for blowing in my ear. I appreciate that. W- with the lack of E3, Gamescom is now where big announcements are made.
Yes, although okay, I guess we I could get into this.
Yeah.
Watching like Gamescom really made me felt how much E3, how much I missed it.
Yeah.
Because the problem with Gamescom is that like everything else,
Mhm.
it's just like a shotgun blast of games to the face. And
Yeah.
it's just a whole bunch of trailers for a whole bunch of like completely disconnected random games that have nothing to do with each other. You get a puzzle platformer mixed with an extraction shooter mixed with a survival sim, and there's just like no thematic coherence to it. It's just, and there's
Right.
like 50 of them,
Right.
50 trailers, and at a certain point it's like, oh my god.
um, Shepard, excuse me, we're
Mm,
trying to do a podcast?
yeah, and at a certain point it's just like too much.
Uh-huh.
It's too much and it's too disorganized. Oh, Shepard, why are you walking out? Okay, I'll give you a chance to come back in. It's just too disorganized. It's
Mhm.
too much and it's too disorganized. And the advantage of E3 is that um, because it was kind of separated into publishers, that gave you a story that you kind of latch on to, like, oh, how
Right.
does this publisher connect to this publisher? And because it's all one publisher, you weren't seeing 50 games at once. You were seeing uh um
Of course.
like, you know, 10, 15 games. uh but it was like 15 games from this publisher, 15 games from this publisher, and you could compare them to each other. And like it gave you a means of organizing all this chaos. It took 50 games, but it broke them up into categories
Right.
so that you could kind of better understand this.
Well,
Gamescom
it
Gamescom
put
is
them
just
into
fifty.
digestible chunks
Yeah,
instead of
Gamescom is just
just be a fire hose of
50
every.
things thrown at your face.
Yeah.
And like at a certain point, I just tuned out. And I realized I don't want to watch this. Like it's a terrible show to watch. It's not a good thing to watch. Opening night, it kind of sucked. What's good is the, inevitable articles after the fact of here's everything that was announced, and I can
Yeah.
scroll through and I
Making
can
somebody else do the dirty work.
and I can see, oh, co-op extraction shooter, not interested. Next thing, co-op survival game, not interested. A horror game, ooh, I am interested. Scroll a little more, like, and it's just a way to cut
Right.
through all the mess.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think in retrospect, the structure of E3 really was kind of an important aspect of it. And now that
Right.
we lost E3, we also lost that structure and
Mhm.
we're left with something that just kind of sucks. Like it does the
Yeah.
games, I'm not saying that all the games were bad. Like there were some really interesting games that were shown,
Oh, yeah.
but just the structure of it is so absolutely awful. And maybe it's Keeley. Maybe he just like his it seems like his
Well,
vision of what a show
it's wait a minute,
is a
that's
shotgun blast of
Gamescom.
the games to the
Gamescom isn't
face.
Keighley. Gamescom
Yeah, he did.
is
He hosted it. He kind of like put it together. The Gamescom opening night. At least this time he did.
right, but Gamescom is Cologne. that's been around. That's Germany. It's
Yes,
been doing
but
that for
Jeff
years. But
Keighley put on the Gamescom opening night.
opening night, yeah,
He put on the show that I'm saying sucked.
I see.
And
Okay,
I'm wondering if maybe his vision of what a show is we're going to show you all the trailers. We got so much to show you.
right.
And I think like that vision is bad. I think it's bad for the stuff you show. I think it's bad because it's, kind of not entertaining. And I don't know. I think Keeley might need to be replaced. I don't think his vision for what a game show is a very good vision.
I think he's a good host. I think that he runs Gamescom, or at least that opening night, the way that he runs the Game Awards. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the Game Awards are broken up by the awards.
Yes, there's a hook there.
There's a hook.
Apart from
Yes, there's that digestible chapters, so to
yeah.
speak. And he doesn't have an award. So he just kind of throws everything into the pot and just pukes it out as fast as he can. And
Yeah.
he needs to find some way to kind of put chapters on it, to kind of group things up together, or to find some way to create an organization so it isn't just one after the other after the other after the other, that you start to just become, your eyes start to glaze over and you can't possibly watch
Yeah.
anymore.
Or just like make it an hour instead of 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just show less stuff and give each one a little bit more time. Because the truth is,
Maybe
when
Gamescom needs
when
to
you
be more
have
like E3, in that they need to organize instead of relying on Gamescom to do all of the big announcements, is to each publisher, and I don't know, maybe they do and it just doesn't get the attention, but have each publisher have their own show, the
I
way
mean,
that E3 used to be.
I know Microsoft had a bunch of like smaller shows over the week that kind of got into more details about some of the games, but I don't know if every publisher did.
Yeah. I would imagine probably the bigger ones did, but they didn't get the attention because opening night is kind of opening night,
Yeah.
like that's the
But
one that's going to
but
get all the attention.
and what I was saying is like when you have a new game and you want to show it off, a 2-minute trailer works for a movie because you can summarize a movie's plot and tone in 2 minutes. It's really hard to give a sense of like gameplay loop and difficulty and challenge and all that in 2 minutes of a video game trailer.
Right.
All the video game trailer does, and
Just
most
tell
of
you
them
the name
don't
of the
even
game and
most
give
of
you a
them
sense of
don't
it.
even go into story.
Right.
It's just here's a clip of something, here's a mood piece. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, no, that's not gonna get me hooked, because you know what? Most of what you're showing me, I've seen before. You know
Right.
how many generic military shooters there were? You know how many generic platformers there were?
God,
How many
yes.
generic, extraction survival things there are? Even like the cutesy stuff. It was like, oh yeah, here's a cutesy platformer. Oh, here's a cutesy
Right. Here's Little
like thing.
Monsters 3, and it looks just like Little Nightmares,
Yeah.
Little Nightmares 3 that looks just like something else
Yeah,
that's
that's funny because Little Nightmares 3 is not being developed by the team that did Little Nightmares 1 and 2.
right.
Instead, the team that did Little Nightmares 1 and 2 is making a game called Reanimal, which
Right.
had a trailer at Gamescom. But you know what? Reanimal looks
Looks just
exactly like
That's the one that I
Little
was thinking.
Nightmares
It's
3.
like, wow, this looks just like Little Nightmares.
And it's like, oh, okay, you lost the IP, but you wanted to keep making the same game, so you just like rebranded it. I'm okay
Rebranded
with
it.
that. Look, they pulled a Mass Effect, right? BioWare lost the Star Wars license, so they made their own rip-off Star Wars. And I fully support that. I want people to rip off other people's ideas. It's good for the industry. Rip off, don't remake.
Mhm.
But at a certain point, it just all bleeds together.
Yeah, it does. But we are going to talk about the ones that didn't bleed together and did stand out for us. But
Oh my god, what are you guys doing?
might as well
Okay.
start the show. Let's
Okay.
start. Let's actually do the intro, because why not? Let's do it. Okay.
Okay, I've
Here's
got the cats in.
All right, doing the intro.
This podcast discusses video
Well, you
games,
do that.
modern culture, and technology. And these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds episode 726. We are recording this Monday, August 25th, 2024. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick Katz. But not Nick. Come on. Are you there, Nick? No. Nick has just wandered off. Great. All right. So it's just me. Hi, everyone. How are you? All right. So I don't know that there's anything that we want to talk about what we did this week or what we played this week, because there's so much to talk about with Gamescom. And if you're not aware, it lasted for 2 days in Cologne, Germany, just this last week. And that is when everything just puked out as far as trailers and gameplay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Nick, are you there? He just wandered. Anyway.
I'm coming back. Don't worry.
All right.
I had to get something to drink. Shepard, come back.
Let's see. I was about to give up and start posting news links. No, don't do that.
Come on. Shepard.
So, let's see. Anything while I'm going to dance around until Nick comes back so we can talk about Gamescom. Anything interesting? Nothing.
I mean, I played a lot of games that I could talk about. I even played the hot new game. I played a couple hot new games.
All right, sure. Why not? Talk about them.
I can talk about the hottest new game of the season, the Game Boy Advance tactical RPG called Knights of Lotus. No, I will say briefly, I beat the Tactics Ogre 64, Ogre Battle 64 on my phone using the Delta emulator.
Mhm.
And so I started playing another game on the Delta emulator, which
Okay.
works really well, but it is just really awkward, like playing a Game Boy Advance game that's got like the D-pad and the buttons just click so good on a fucking touch screen. It sucks. It just
Okay. I was going to say, doesn't sound like it would work very well. but I
No,
guess-
buttons on a touchscreen universally suck. No one has made a good button on a touchscreen. If Apple does that, they could win like the next generation of phones. But like, no, every single button touchscreen sucks.
Right.
What I did play though is Black Myth Wukong.
Oh, you did play that. Okay.
Yes, I bought that and I played it, and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's interesting because going into the release, there was so much talk about like people watch a video and go, it looks like a Souls-like game. I don't like Souls-like games. I don't want that. And there's a contingent of people just like, it's not a Souls-like game. Even the developers were coming out saying it's not a Souls-like game. And that was such a constant like battle and refrain. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, there are people that just don't like Souls-like games. They don't like that genre, but they like action games. They want more God of War, more Devil May Cry. And this game kind of strikes a balance between those two genres of action games. The level design and the pace and structure of it is very much a Souls-like game. You've got an environment, you don't have a map, so you're kind of exploring this environment, learning the nooks and crannies of it, fighting some enemies, and then every time you defeat an enemy, it stays dead, but when you get up to a certain checkpoint and you rest there, all your health comes back, but all the enemies respawn, right? That is a very typical Souls-like conceit of find a checkpoint, rest at a checkpoint, enemies come back. But the actual combat of it is not as Souls-like. It's definitely way more fast-paced, like a Devil May Cry, or it's very Neo-like more than it is a Souls-like.
Interesting. Okay.
But like difficulty-wise, it's not super difficult. Oh man, now I'm watching this video and I'm like, wait, where the fuck are you? Is this the opening area? This looks like a forest. The game is kind of split into biomes, at least so far. I beat the first biome, which was a forest, chapter 1. Now I'm on chapter 2, which is a desert. And this looks like a forest, but I didn't see any spider in the forest.
Well, looks like you missed one.
So that's also a thing about this game, that there's a whole lot of secrets about it. All of the locations are filled with hidden paths that will take you someplace, and a secret boss, crafting material that you can use to craft new armor, which is very helpful. Stuff that, increases your maximum health, mana, or stamina, stuff like that. So it's worth it to explore the world. I definitely haven't seen it. This must be like chapter 3.
No, it's about 11 hours in.
Yeah, that could be chapter 3, which is like what I was saying earlier about the difficulty. It strikes this really good balance of difficulty where it feels challenging, but it's not going to kind of break you the way some of the FromSoft games do,
Mhm.
right? When Shadow of the Erdtree came out earlier this year, people were talking about the final boss, just like, has FromSoft gone too far? Is Shadow of the Erdtree too hard? Like, that was a big discussion about it. This game is definitely not.
Mhm.
It's
So it sounds like something I would actually like, as opposed to like any other FromSoft game.
possibly, like, it's definitely still challenging. But a lot of the minor enemies that you fight while exploring the environment, they're not too difficult. They're pretty easy. And that gives it like a good loop as you're wandering around this world. You're wandering, you're kind of exploring every nook and cranny, fighting some tough guys, fighting like a couple easy guys, and then some like medium guys. But it all creates a very okay. This is area 1. He must have fast traveled.
Yes,
The,
he
the
did.
the video is like throw me for a loop because I'm seeing stuff I recognize and stuff I don't recognize, and I don't know which is which. But the difficulty in the gameplay loop is really, really good because in combat you can do so many different things.
Mhm.
You've
What are you
just got
playing it on, by the way? Are you playing it on a console or
always console. You know
which
me.
console?
I don't play on PC unless I am forced to with a gun to my head.
Right. But
PlayStation.
Okay.
So you just got the one weapon, the staff, but you've got various stances. You've got the smash stance, which kind of allows you to, when you do a bunch of light attacks followed by heavy attack, you take your staff and you just like swing it over your head to smash down. Then you've got the pillar stance, which is
Mhm.
interesting because Monkey, I guess I don't really know his name.
Monkey's name is Monkey.
Well, okay, I'll get into that later. The monkey will hop up on the top of the staff, and if you have enough stamina or like focus points, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's like standing on top of it. And when you let go of the button, he like jumps up, whips the staff, and to smash it down on an enemy. So it's just a cool way to kind of dodge attacks because you're jumping up above them while
Mhm.
then attacking. And then the third stance is a thrust one where you stab them. But each of them plays pretty differently. It's all the basic light, heavy attack. But the way that you have to think about how you're like using your special attacks, because every time you hit an enemy, you gain focus. And you fill up enough a meter, you get a focus point. You fill it up again, you get a second focus point. But that's kind of the max you can get.
Mhm.
Those focus points are how you do the special move, the smash, the pillar, the thrust. And so it's all about, doing enough light attacks that you get a heavy attack and then waiting for your opportunity to do a heavy attack, because the heavy attack has a bit of a build up to it, that animation. And if you get attacked in the middle of it, you just lose that focus point. So
Mhm.
it's about kind of doing the light attacks, waiting for the right moment to unleash the heavy attack. But on top of that, you've got various magic spells. You can immobilize the enemy for a short time, which allows you to just wail on them for a bit. You can turn invisible so that you disappear and there's a clone of you to distract them, allowing you to sneak up behind an enemy to attack them. Or you can transform into various other enemies to unleash like big special attacks. These
Mhm.
transformations are usually they last a second, but it's like transform into a guy with a big head and he smashes his head down for one attack. Transform into a guy with snakes and he like spits out 2 snakes that will poison the enemy. But
Right.
just for those one attacks. And each of those is, earned as you're attacking the enemy and building up. So as you're fighting, you're constantly building up various meters and various other attacks that you can then unleash on him. So you're kind of always thinking, what else can I do? What else can I do? Like, I'm going to get in a couple light attacks when I can, but I'm really like balancing mana usage and stamina usage and focus point usage to, use all these abilities to their most effective.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just a really cool combat system where there's kind of always something you can do. And what that means is since there's always something you can do in combat, since there's all these different aspects, you're always collecting things that you can then use to upgrade those,
Mhm.
right? Every time you level up, you can level up your health, your stamina, one of the stances, one of your summons, one of your magic abilities. So like when you level up and you get 1 point, you're like, "Well, shit. I've got 50 different things I could spend this point on. What
Yeah.
do I want to spend it on?" But what's nice is you can respec at any point free of
Oh,
charge.
that's kinda nice.
It's really nice because one of the
A
first
limited amount of times?
unlimited amount of times.
Oh, nice.
So one of the first bosses I got to, I was having some trouble with, and I was like, I just don't know what to do. I don't. He keeps killing me. I'm almost got him, but I just don't have enough health. So what I did is, I was only like level 5, so I took all my 5 level up points away from the skills, and I just put them into health to just give me a bunch more health. And like a couple tries after that, that was like what I needed to get past the boss. Um, but what that also means is, if there's a boss that's good against, or if there's a particular stance that's good against the boss, you can take all your points out of thrust stance and put them into pillar stance. Or like you can take all the points out of pillar stance and put them into the smash stance. Like you can kind of respec to really focus on one stance if you find that one more appealing or more usable. There's also armor, and all the armor has different aspects. One of the armor sets makes your stamina recover a lot if you're in water. So when I was having trouble fighting a big frog in a lake, I took out the armor I had, put on the armor that increased my stamina in water, and even though that gave me less defense points, it allowed me to do more, It allowed me to run around more, to attack more because my stamina was regenerating a lot faster. And I beat the boss like the first time I did that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there's just a lot that you can kind of micromanage in addition to having a really beautiful world to explore,
It is gorgeous.
really fun combat. Really, the one downside is the story. Um, I don't have a fucking clue what's going on. It
Does it follow the
opens
monkey story?
no,
Oh.
because I had read in the IGN review before buying this that the story seems to like unless you have a background knowledge of Journey to the West, there's a lot you don't understand. So I went and I read like a summary of Journey to the West to like get a detailed Wikipedia summary. First of
Mhm.
all, that story sounds badass, and I kind of want to read it now because it does sound pretty cool.
So you're talking
Um,
about the story of Monkey?
no, Journey to the West.
Journey to the West is what?
Journey to the West is the story of Monkey.
Okay, yes.
Sun Wukong
Yes.
is the monkey in Journey to the West. He's not the only one though. Like turns out Journey to the West is about a story of a guy going west, but he's got like 3 companions with him.
Okay, Journey to the West. All right, that's not the original stories of
Yes, it
Monkey,
is.
but no, it's
Well,
not.
okay, no.
Tale of
Monkey,
Monkey is, and that is hundreds of years old.
yes. Journey to the West stars Monkey.
Right, but
But
that
the
is this is
monkey is a character.
a modern novel that was
No, Journey to the West is not modern. Journey to the West is like an ancient
oh, it is the
foundational.
original one. Alright, yes,
Yeah.
that's the one I've read. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Um,
But
but
it is very archaic in its language, and I've
oh, I'm
read it
sure.
several times. I read it when I was a child, and then my dad read it to me when I was a child, and then I read it later to myself.
Hmm. And yes, I've seen iterations, as AC Wraith says, you've seen iterations of Journey to the West constantly. But reading the Wikipedia summary, it's interesting how different those are because all of those iterations focus on Monkey. But there's like two other companions that are with the main character traveling throughout it. But I digress. Monkey, one of the things he's famous for is like basically defeating heaven. Like before the events of Journey to the West, Monkey, he starts off as a monkey, but he trains, he gets better, he steals some stuff with immortality. Uh, and then eventually heaven is like, yo, you're getting too strong. We need to stop you. And Monkey basically defeats all of the armies of heaven until the Buddha himself traps Monkey in a mountain. That is how this game opens, with you playing as Sun Wukong, Monkey, fighting the armies of heaven. But then you get trapped in a mountain. And then you play as the Destined One, who looks like Sun Wukong. Um, and you're traveling, trying to find like 6 stones that you can use basically to break Sun Wukong out of his mountain prison. So you're not actually playing as Wukong, but you're playing as someone who looks like him. And so every now and then you'll run across an enemy that's like, oh my God, it's you. But you're supposed to be, wait, no, that's not you. You just look like him. And so I don't quite know what any of that is about. But also, I defeated the first chapter and I didn't get a key to the mountain or whatever to break Wukong out of his prison. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm exploring these environments. It's ostensibly to like break Wukong out of his prison, but I don't know what I need for that, so I don't know. But the point is, I really like playing it, and I'm going to keep playing it. Even if I don't know exactly what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, I really like what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep it up.
Right. Well, that's kinda cool, and that makes me kinda sorta wanna play it just simply because I had stayed away from it because it did look too much like a FromSoft, Souls-like nightmare fuel kind of game that would just make me miserable playing it the entire time. And the fact that you're saying it's not, actually makes me wanna play it.
Yeah, it's got the structure of it, but the
Right.
combat is definitely
It's
way
adjacent
easier.
to it, but it's not, it's not supposed to demoralize you in gameplay.
Yes, there were definitely look, I definitely fought some bosses that were tough, but like at least so far, kind of midway through chapter 2, I haven't encountered anything that's super difficult. I finished everything in a couple tries. Not 2 tries, but like some of the bosses took me several tries, but it was always like every time I died, I knew I can do this. I'm so close. I can do this. And that made me want to keep going.
Right. Well, all right, so you did play that, now I want to play that. What else did you play?
I played another new game that came out recently
Mhm.
that I forget where I saw it that made me want to play it, but it's called Nobody Wants to Die.
Okay.
And it's basically a narrative adventure game that's kind of let me get more in the middle. Um, about you as a detective. It's a cyberpunk dystopia detective game. And you go and recreate crime scenes to figure out how a guy died. So the very first level is you encounter someone hanging from a tree, and it looks like he committed suicide. But what you do is you use this thing on your hand to basically rewind time and you keep rewinding time a little bit until you can find a clue, and then you can use that to rewind time further, and then you kind of look around, find a different clue, rewind time further, and from there you reconstruct the crime. And it's all pretty linear. It's not like you're doing a whole lot of actual deduction. It's mainly look around for the highlighted symbol, go up to it, hit X. Okay, I'm going to find the next highlighted symbol, follow that. Like it's not a detective game. It's mainly just telling a noir story. But it's telling a really cool noir story because in this world, you can swap consciousness into another body.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And so a lot of it is like, oh, you're trying to solve this crime, but like, oh, it doesn't matter. These rich assholes are just going to get another body anyways. But then you can encounter some that are, oh no, his Icarite is what it's called, was destroyed. We can't revive him. This is a true death. This is an actual murder. But what begins has kind of a small scale murder mystery. And like any good noir, it expands to kind of be about the corruption and politics, but it kind of keeps growing in scope. And now I feel like I'm 2/3 of the way in. It's really become like a grand story about, you know, uh, the higher political class basically creating like a vast conspiracy to harvest bodies of the lower class to kind of give them infinite bodies. And it's a really cool story. And it's important that the story hangs together because that's really what this has going for it. The whole crime scene reconstruction is really cool, especially when you're dealing with like kind of masked as a shootout. Like at a certain point, a shootout happens. And so you're going up to one group of bodies and reconstructing what happened there. But then you realize, okay, this guy got shot from all the way over there across the room. So I'm going to go over there to where this other body is to reconstruct what happens. And it's like, oh, this guy got shot by him, but that guy got blown up by him, but that guy got stabbed by him. And so you're kind of reconstructing all these different crime scenes before you can determine, okay, this is how this entire debacle went down.
Right.
And that's cool. But like I said, it's all pretty linear. So you're not doing a whole lot of actual deduction. This isn't like the game I played a couple weeks ago, the Curse of the Golden Idol. I think it's the Curse or the Case of the Golden Idol. But that one was very much a game about deduction and like you looking at the environment very closely to try to figure out what's missing. This is just follow the icon and get the story. But the story is really cool. Following the icon is really fun. The construction of the crime scenes, like I said, is really fun. And so far, it's just one of those real interesting indie games that, like I said before, I don't remember where I saw this that made me want to play it. I think it was just some random trailer that happened at some point. You know, when you open YouTube and it gives you your home screen of new videos.
Right.
Some of the things that appear on mine are like new game trailers. And I think this one might have popped up there. And I just clicked on it absentmindedly and I was watching it and then thought, hey, that looks pretty neat.
good.
Yeah. And it helps that, like, since it was newly released, it was like 10% off on PlayStation. So it was only like $20 to begin with. And I bought it. And so far, highly recommend it. Just like a really good sci-fi crime story that I think more people should jump on.
Okay. That sounds actually kind of cool. It sounds like very much like an Edie game. Anything else that you played?
That's all I played. Those have been taking up all my time.
That's a pretty good thing to be taking up your time with. All right. So now that we got that, do you want to hit the news and we can talk about what happened at Gamescom? All right then. Wait for it. Let's hit.
Yeah, I didn't make any news banners.
You don't need to. Sorry.
Okay.
Let's hit the news. comes the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with Gamer Edie and Nick Dinacoa. And our first item is the Gamescom extravaganza. I mean, there's only one banner we need. Gamescom.
Mhm.
So what I'm going to do, I need to step away for a second. Nick, I'm sorry to do this to you, but I need to step away for a slight emergency, and you can talk about whatever you need to talk about. I'll be right back. So
Okay.
hit the trailers that stood out to you as being awesome.
Okay, let's see. I will bring up YouTube and I will try to share some of these. But I remember last time I tried to share a trailer, it did not go well, which is unfortunate. No, come on. Gamescom trailer. I'm looking for a specific one. Basically, I'm looking at the Black Ops 6 gameplay trailer from Gamescom. And I'm looking at this because I haven't played a Call of Duty game in just forever. I haven't played it since really Modern Warfare 3. No, I played Modern Warfare 3, then I played Infinite Warfare, the sci-fi one with Jon Snow. But then I just kind of fell off because, they're pretty samey. I wasn't into the multiplayer, but you play one campaign, you've kind of played all the campaigns. Well, it's now been long enough that as I'm watching this trailer for the Black Ops 6 campaign, I'm thinking, you know what? That looks kind of cool. I think I might be into that. I think I could go for that kind of like big cinematic blockbuster action again, right? I want something. I want to play a car chase, and it doesn't have to be like challenging or whatever. Because a lot of these games, the whole point of it is like you just want to keep going and going and going. And if you die and have to go back, that kind of kills the momentum. But like, I'm into this action, and I think it especially helps that now that it's coming to Game Pass, like if you subscribe to Game Pass, you don't have to spend $70 on it, which kind of makes the campaign a lot more attractive when it's not behind such a high paywall. And so I think that plus the fact that it's just been so long since I played one of these type of games that it stood out to me as something I haven't experienced in a while, even though these things have been coming out on a yearly basis, for the past 30 years. Yeah, a lot of this looks like it's so typical Call of Duty. I think I've even seen someone do that where they fall into like an open helicopter as it's tilted. But you know what? Like I said, it's been long enough. I'm into it again. The other thing that stood out to me, and you'll have to tell me if that trailer like actually looked good or if it would just look like if it was just stuttering. Dune Awakening was just crazy in how much I don't want to make that full screen just yet. It was a little crazy in how ambitious it looked. Again, very much like Black Ops, it looks like an MMO. And part of this, I think, is just my confusion about what Dune Awakening is. I thought it was an RTS, but I realized that RTS came out, like I think earlier this year or last year. But Dune Awakening looks like an MMO. And it looks like a pretty ambitious, grand, competitive action MMO. And it looks kind of cool.
It
But
does.
it looks cool in a way that I don't want to play it because it's an MMO. And I don't want to get sucked into that kind of repetitive thing again.
Is it really an MMO?
I mean, based on the
Does
trailer,
it
it
have
looks like it.
dancing? Can you dance? Can your character dance? Because that is your
That's
definition. You
true.
made up that definition. It's not an MMO if you can't dance.
Other dancing aside, a lot of it looked very MMO-ish.
Mhm.
And I think one of the reasons that appealed to me is just because I remember back in my day when MMOs were the new live service, when
Yep.
everything was an
Everybody
MMO,
wanted an MMO
it was
because
the
of
hot
World of
new
Warcraft.
thing.
Absolutely.
And so part of me, I think, is just appreciative of seeing someone try to make one of these old exploitative games as opposed to another
The
arena
new
battle
exploit
shooter. It's like, okay, I've had enough the arena battle shooter free to play battle pass bullshit. Let's
Right.
go back to the old bullshit, you know? Let's go back to the if you buy this game used, you get locked out of content bullshit. Let's go back to the bullshit that makes me nostalgic.
Yep.
Which is not
The
to say the game-
subscription model where you have to pay every month or else you'll lose your character.
Ah. So I'm not saying this game looks like bullshit. The game actually looks really good. But I think the reason it looks good to me is mainly because it's not, a live service game. At least not in the
Mhm.
typical definition of what a live service game is now. It looks much more MMO-ish, and part of me is just, oh man, we haven't seen a new one of those before. It's like, oh, you spunky underdog developer who I don't even know trying to make an MMO. Like, damn, reach for the stars, man. I'm rooting for you.
You go, little tiny piglet.
Look at this. How is this not a World of Warcraft mount? Right? Remember
Yep.
flying through? It's so yeah.
Yep.
It looks really neat. I It's interesting to me that Dune is the game that gets the MMO because I would not have thought that
Oh,
Dune
Doom would make
was a
an
world.
amazing MMO. But it's ambitious as fuck. Talk about another ambitious thing. We're gonna make an MMO of Dune. If you're gonna like be ambitious, be all the ambitious.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the other thing that really stood out to me.
Okay, let me all right. So, what's the ones that stood out to me? I would say I mean Borderlands 4. There was an announcement. It's going to be coming in 2025. Does not surprise me in the least. Let me actually pull up the trailer so you can enjoy it like I enjoyed it. Stand by. What is it called? Borderlands.
I remember watching this trailer and thinking, "Oh, this looks really interesting. This is cool because it's like a planet got teleported into some weird field and it's like big cosmic disaster going on."
Mhm.
And then it was revealed to be Borderlands.
Right.
And I thought, "Oh, because Borderlands doesn't strike me as a game that is interested in that kind of cool cosmic destruction."
Mhm.
So, looking at that, I was a little disappointed because uh the coolest things that stood out to me are not the things I think will actually be in the final game.
Right. But and also, we should have expected this to be hitting now because, of course, they did release the Borderlands movie. The Firehawk
Oh,
symbol
gotta
absolutely.
strike on the popularity of the
Yeah,
IP.
I mean, well, I think they were
Last.
anticipating it being more popular than it was. Certainly, if you haven't
Like
seen the
that. Look,
movie,
that's fucking awesome. Like
yeah,
planet crashing through some sort of crystal field. But
yep.
the game's not gonna have that. The game's just gonna have that as the skybox, and that's it.
But it does harken back to the movie about the Firehawk was created to save the planet, to save Pandora. The Firehawk was the protector of Pandora.
Yeah, my Borderlands never mentioned a firehawk.
Right. And that's the thing is that the movie was all have you seen the movie yet?
No, God, no. Why would I
Oh
see the
god, yeah,
movie?
that's what it's all about is the Firehawk.
Okay, I think I also only played Borderlands 1 and 2. I didn't play 3 or the pre-sequel or the Tiny
Yeah,
Tina's
you
Wonderland.
didn't miss much. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I heard.
what it came
Swear.
down to is the movie, and the movie itself is all about Lilith and Tiny Tina and the search for the Firehawk that was the one who was supposed to open up the vaults, the chosen one. Um, and that it's supposed to be that the person who opens it is the Firehawk, and the Firehawk is the protector of Pandora.
Hmm.
So the fact that that trailer featured the Firehawk symbol and Pandora, and there's of course obviously some robot there involved with the
Yeah, picking up the mask.
picking up the mask, tells me that there is some kind of existential threat to Pandora that the Firehawk is going to have to deal with. And I'm not going to say who the Firehawk is, but
Oh, everyone knows.
okay, Lilith. That
You
Lilith's
you
deal.
play the one character with fire abilities from the first game.
Yeah. I
But
mean, she does have fire wings, for God's sake. So
like hearing all that, like Borderlands was never really a lore heavy series. And I remember when the first game came out and there were teases of a second game. One of the really exciting prospects of thinking about a sequel to Borderlands
right.
is people were always calling it Border Worlds because they were speculating that you'd be able to do the thing you did on Pandora on other worlds. That it would basically be
There would be
Destiny.
more vaults on other worlds that you had to go explore
Yes.
and
Like,
investigate, and they would all
and
connect to each other.
yeah, and I love the idea of like a combination between Destiny and Borderlands, like the kind of Borderlands loot system with the grander space travel of Destiny. Like that feels like such a good, solid, you know, idea
Mhm.
that I don't know why Gearbox hasn't done it. Well, they probably haven't done it because Destiny is goddamn expensive to make and has basically bankrupted Bungie.
Yes.
But there's a way to
And
do
there's
it,
a thing about live services that are not doing
but it
well.
doesn't have to be live service. It could just be multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
And like the fact that that was the idea that was kind of going around the gaming community, and now like a decade and 5 games later they still haven't done anything like that.
Right.
It's like, oh, you kind of
No,
just
it's not.
making the same game over and over again.
Yeah, it's not. It's not, and it all comes down to Pandora. And if the movie had anything to say about it, it's all about Pandora
Hmm.
because Firehawk is the protector of Pandora. So, yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh,
yeah, there definitely wouldn't be a third person mode.
there's just nothing for me as a player who did not play previous games. Granted, I likely won't have a third person mode for me to play either. I don't believe so. I mean, the other two I don't think had a third person mode. They may change that because it's becoming now more apparent that the first person isn't for everybody because a lot of people have problems with it. That being said, there were a lot of games that came out at Gamescom that were like, "Oh yeah, we're first person and you're going to have so much of an immersive experience because it is first person." Like obligatory first person. So, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But um I am kind of excited about it. It's going to be next year. I'm excited about it not because of the movie. Actually, in fact, the movie was awful and would have made me just go fuck you about this game because you're just like that movie was awful. Um, except for the fact that that game will always have um, a very big spot in my heart because it is you and me and Chris, and that is the game where yours and my friendship was forged.
Hmm.
So I'll always have a soft spot for it. But that being said, I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to be very good. If the movie was any indication, the game is going to be awful.
I
Awful.
I wouldn't put it like I've been kind of down on the idea of Borderlands 4, but
Mhm.
look, Gearbox generally makes good, playable, fun games.
Yeah, but this is Gearbox after it was bought by Embracer and sold by Embracer.
Yeah, that's
After
why they haven't put out anything in like 6 years.
exactly, kind of after an apocalypse, 2 apocalypses within
I would still
a time of incredible instability.
expect more from Borderlands 4 than the Borderlands movie. I will say this.
I don't know.
I bet
the movie is easier to make
no.
than the game. A movie is easier to make than a game.
I don't know. There's debate about that. But I will say, I think the worst Borderlands game will still be better than that movie.
Yes. Oh, by far. Yeah, I played all of the Borderlands. I didn't play Tiny Tina. That was the one thing I didn't play. But I played all the other Borderlands games.
Hmm.
And they were all, anywhere between meh to okay.
I would like to play the fantasy
Great
one.
to meh. But that movie there was no genuinely bad game. There were ones that
Yes.
were probably ill-conceived. Like I believe that Telltale did a
Oh
Borderlands.
yeah, they did Tales from the Borderlands.
They did
People
Tales-
really loved that though.
I liked that. I thought it was good.
I thought it was okay.
But it was not Borderlands, but it was
No,
Borderlands
it was it.
adjacent.
Yes, it was more stories in that world.
Yes, exactly. So if you were going and looking for Borderlands, you were definitely not finding that.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. It wasn't great. It got kind of boring pretty fast.
The new Telltale actually did a Tales from the Borderlands 2, but
Okay.
I honestly didn't hear anyone talk about it. I don't think I've seen a single
Wow.
review of it. It kind of just like came and went without so much
That
as a
almost makes me
bubble.
want to play it just to see, because that's the one that I haven't played other than Tiny Tina's. What was it?
The
Playground?
fantasy one?
Tiny Tina's Playground, I believe it was.
That was a DLC. There was like Tiny Tina's
DLC.
Wonderland, I think was the
Wonderland.
fantasy one.
That's right. That was a DLC on Borderlands 3, I believe, and it was
No,
very
there's a full game. Tiny Tina's Wonderland is a full
yeah
Borderlands style fantasy game.
yeah
which
okay
I'm actually kind of interested in playing.
yeah, and I've heard it's very good.
But okay, new Tales from the Borderlands. I want to see Metacritic. Where's the Metacritic? There we go. 69 by critics and 4 from users, but I don't know how much we can trust user reviews. I generally distrust Metacritic user reviews because I don't know what's been review bombed or what hasn't.
You should. They could easily have review bombed that game and everything that Gearbox touched because of how bad the movie was.
Oh, well, the Rock Paper Shotgun review, the headline is New Tales from the Borderlands review, : thanks, I hate it.
Wow. So yeah, that was kind of a big
IGN gave it a 7. That's not bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways.
Another game that stood out to me that I know nothing about, that looked, it was just a trailer. There was no gameplay. Never heard of this game before, but it still looked amazing. Was Mafia: The Country.
The Old Country.
Old Country, sorry. Let me pull it up so that you can see it. Stand by.
It was a pretty good trailer. Like, it's moody, atmospheric.
Absolutely. It had all of the good feels, and it's gorgeous. Oh my God, was it gorgeous. Now this is cinematic, in-game,
I mean, it said it was in-engine.
in-engine
Yeah.
cinematics. So it's not even gameplay, it's not even in-game cinematics. It's in-engine cinematics.
I mean, that's at
But
this
still,
point.
I loved the feel of it. I loved
Yeah.
the sound of it. I loved the look of it. It captured for me something. I was like thinking, "Oh God, is this another Godfather game?" Because that's what it felt like.
Oh God,
And
they
I'm
actually
really
made a
surprised it's
Godfather
not a
game.
Godfather game.
I did hear too that there's going to be voice acting in Sicilian, in Italian.
And it says see more in December. So it's not even a date. It's a date where you're going to see more.
Yeah.
So it's a long way off, but it did look really, really, really good. And the I'm really surprised that there's not been more Mafia slash Godfather games than Godfather.
I mean, I think the Mafia games,
There has been, right?
there's been 3.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I
So this
remember the third one came and went, and it got pretty good reviews, but I don't think it like set the world on fire. I think
Yeah,
it just kind of did average, but like it was well received.
yeah, all Mafia games, including the God. I'm not talking about Mafia, but the story in the genre of Mafia.
Oh, okay.
Almost all of them are very, very well received, but don't set the world on fire.
Yeah. I remember the first Mafia game came out fairly soon after Grand Theft Auto 3, and it was, another open world crime game, but it
Mhm.
was one in which you actually had to follow the law. And
Yeah.
so you're driving these old-timey cars down the street, and it's like, "Oh fuck, I've got to watch my speed so I don't go over the speed limit. I've got to stop at these red lights. This is some bullshit. I don't want to do this."
Yeah, it was bad timing considering that, it was being released right
Yeah.
next to a game where you could do anything and run.
But that's the vibe it was going for.
Right. So, all right. So what's something else stuck out to you?
The other big thing that stuck out to me is not a video game at all, but it is related. It is, let me make this full screen, Secret Level, which is a new TV show coming to Amazon Prime from the Blur Studios, which is behind Love, Death, and Robots.
Mhm.
So, like Love, Death, and Robots, this is a series of animated short stories set in various video games. So, you've got a little animated episode of Sifu. You can see some of that. You've got Keanu Reeves in an Armored Core 7 story. You've got
Like,
a Pac-Man story. They've released a list of all the games, and I'm trying to remember what's what. The Mega Man is one. God of War was one that you saw there. This is Keanu Reeves in a mech. And yeah, it's just a really cool idea of a way. Oh, I think Space Marine was one. A cool idea of like, you don't have to make a movie of these IPs, but being able to take them into a different medium for like one episode is a really cool idea. Oh, there you go. You got a flash of everything right there.
yep.
Including everyone's favorite game, Concord. Yeah, I'm sure people are gonna be excited to see more Concord. Sifu, I'm excited for Sifu because Sifu was a badass game. Oh, Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not gonna be able to click this fast enough.
So,
Outer
Outer
Worlds,
Worlds 2,
Pac-Man,
Honor of
Honor
Kings.
of Kings, I don't even know what that is. Armored Core, I'm excited for that. Mega Man, Exodus, that's a new one that I remember seeing a trailer for like Summer Games Fest.
Uh-huh.
Splunky, which, okay, I like that they're doing something like Splunky because that tells me Splunky is like the type of game that only hardcore platformer gamers really know about. It's not the kind of thing you put in a trailer or you make an episode of if you're just trying to like attract a mass audience.
Right.
This is the type of thing you do if you're a dork that really,
You're
really loves
an
Splunky.
enthusiast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that speaks well for the whole project in that it looks like they went out and got a bunch of IP for stuff that, on one hand, probably like Concord is like, hey, we're making this because Sony will give us a lot of money to do it. But then we're also doing a bunch of stuff that we just think is really cool.
Mhm.
What else is there? Crossfire, Concord, Sifu, and that's it.
Yeah.
There was some stuff at the beginning, but I don't want to take up
Yeah.
too much.
That
But
sounds cool.
yeah, Secret Level is just, it's such a cool idea, and I'm glad to see the people at Blur are just getting more work because they do a lot of really good stuff.
Let's see, something else that stood out to me. Um, this was announced on. I mean, we knew about it, but we got a little bit to see a little bit more of it. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which
Mm-hmm.
is an anti AC Wraith game. It is a first person. I really, really liked the look of what I saw. See if I can grab it. Indiana Jones and
Yeah,
the
Ray has some context. Splunky was one of the first big games of the roguelike action craze, up there with The Binding of Isaac.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that was it. It is a very, very old game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that old. Old. I'm not saying it's old. I'm just saying it's a
Yep.
niche.
But
Not that old.
the game apparently is going to span the entire globe. It has honestly a very much of a feel of Kingdom Come Deliverance in that it is first person. It looks like the fighting is very much going to be swing your arms in a particular way in order for things to work, like Kingdom Come Deliverance. That predict it's going to be the combat to be more like Kingdom Come Deliverance than any kind of button masher. They said that it's all about historic detail and historic facts that are going to help you solve the mystery that you need to solve. And it's got a date, December 9th, 2024, which means it's coming out just in a couple of months. So it's all but there. And it's going to be Game Pass day one,
Yeah.
which is nice. Which means I don't have.
And coming to PlayStation in what was the date? Was it
Did they have a
April?
date?
Yeah, I think they had a date. It was like 4 months.
Yeah. So it's a timed exclusive for Xbox.
Yes. Oh. Come on. Where's the goddamn? Just give me a freaking date. Yes, April 2025
Oh, okay.
is when the Great Circle is coming out on
Honestly, I would love to play this on PlayStation because I don't think the Xbox is going to do it justice. But that being said, I don't have to pay for it on the Xbox. I'll cut it a little slack.
you'll buy a month of Game Pass to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I have two thoughts. I remember reading some previews that said there was a lot more kind of dungeon crawling and like adventure gaming, that it wasn't just all combat. It's like when you got into a tomb, there's a lot of looking around, picking up stuff, kind of putting together a lot of adventure gaming stuff that I think suits Indiana Jones more than just straight combat.
Yeah.
There's a reason that the best Indiana Jones game is still The Fate of Atlantis, which is a classic point and click adventure game, but it's the game that like most captures the spirit of the movies.
Right.
So
it's exploration that you are being an archaeologist. He's a professor and an archaeologist, and you're being him, so you should be acting like one.
And so the fact that there's more of that than the trailers show makes me optimistic. What makes me pessimistic is that the game is coming out in December, which is generally when games go to die. Like that's generally all the big movies come out on Christmas, right? That's when you release Star Wars. But for games,
are you sure the best Indiana Jones isn't a Tomb Raider? Point.
But like for video games, if it comes out in December, it's past the cutoff date for any sort of game of the year talk, right? No one's going to be talking about it. No one's even going to be considering it.
Good point.
And like that's all throughout like the past years. That's always been when a game is released in December, it comes out to not a lot of fanfare, and then it just kind of gets forgotten about. The Avatar game that Ubisoft made came out last December. Like, did you even know that came out? Avatar, the franchise that has made like $4 billion worldwide with just 2 movies, that has an entire theme park dedicated to it, came out, got actually decent reviews. By all metrics, it was not a bad game, but Ubisoft just put it out. They didn't advertise it at all. They're just like, here it is.
They
Please
put it
don't
out
talk
like
about
they
it.
were angry at it.
Yes. And the fact that Microsoft is doing that to Indiana Jones makes me really, really pessimistic about it. Like, to me, that says that they imagine this thing getting a lot of like 7 out of 10s, but like it won't go higher than that.
Mhm.
Which, yeah, maybe unfair to it because I'm judging it based on a release date, but like, come on, people do that all the time. And if they really had faith in it, why not put it out in January? So
Yeah.
I don't know. On one hand, a little bit optimistic. On the other hand, it kind of feels like Microsoft is sending it out to die.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so your next one.
My next one is the return of the infamous Peter Molyneux. Molyneux got on stage to show off his new God game called Masters of Albion. Come on, show some gameplay. And this guy kind of looks like a mix of every other God game he's ever made.
Yeah.
You've got the little hand has the cursor like in black and white, and you're doing a lot of picking people up to assign them to a place. So you kind of pick up a guy, drop him in the woods to become a hunter. A lot of God gaming stuff. But what is neat about it?
And sandwich making.
Yeah, I don't remember the sandwich making.
And
This is the
pie
part that I okay. But what I do appreciate about this is that it does have a lot of the kind of whimsy that Fable had, that the Molyneux games are known for, and that honestly not a lot of games have nowadays. The fact that you can put a rat did you see him put the rat in
No,
the
the rat in the
the
pie.
pie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he had the guy eat it. Like, that's cool. It gives me a little bit of a Cult of the Lamb vibe where you can make people eat their poo.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of that. There's even some weapon crafting that he showed
That
off
reminds
later
me of
on.
Kingdom for Keflings, the picking up of hands, picking up of like people in hands and then putting them somewhere and telling them to do stuff.
Oh, I never played Kingdom for Keflings.
Yeah, Kingdom for Keflings had that same action, which is very satisfying of picking up a person and dragging them somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's other crafting involved as well. Later on, he showed off crafting a sword, and that
Sword with a baguette.
you can take a loaf of bread and
Yep.
put that on a hilt to basically have a bread sword. But what was interesting is that it's kind of a wave-based survival game. So you
Mhm.
spend the day building up your little community, but at night, monsters are going to spawn outside your walls and come attack the gates. So you've got to create heroes to defend it. But the twist is that you can take direct control of the hero, and it starts playing like a third-person action game.
Interesting.
In like this trailer, the third-person action game, like, it looks a little rough.
It does.
But I also kind of like that because it looks like a real game. It looks like a game that's actually in development, right? It doesn't look like they're trying to pull a fast one on me and go, oh,
And
here's a
you
CG
can actually act
trailer.
as God to stop from the looks of it, it's not just that your champion fights, but also that you as God, it's like, oh, I can move my champion out of the way and I can fight these things as God.
Yes. Yeah, and so it's an interesting kind of weird mix of everything he's done before. And when he got on stage, he was, I think, consciously like a little subdued. He wasn't like going out there and being his normally gregarious self. Because,
Really?
I think he knows what the memes of him are.
Yeah.
And it's
How do
also,
you know when Peter Molyneux is lying?
yeah, and it's
His
also,
lips are moving.
he also made a joke about mobile games. He's like, I made a mobile game. What was I doing with those times? I must have been crazy. But yeah, it's been a while since he did anything.
Yeah.
Like he made the mobile game with the cube, and then he made like another God game that kind of flopped that was supposed to have something to do with the cube, and it got into a whole lot of legal trouble around that. But it's interesting to see him making this game, if only because, yet again, you don't see a lot of God games anymore.
Yeah.
Not
He's very much unafraid to be who he is.
Yeah, but like in terms of the industry, you see a lot of city builders, right? You see various city builders set in all sorts of time frames, whether it be ancient
Got
times,
it. Yeah,
fantasy times.
SCOTUS. That was the
Yeah,
name of the pyramid game.
yes. Um, uh, I can hear a bit of an echo. Test. Oh, it's gone. Um, but yeah, you don't see a lot of god games like this. You see a lot of city builders, a lot of town builders, a lot of like kind of survival sim builders, a lot of civilization esque games, a lot of Crusader Kings esque games, a lot of Sim City esque games. But no one's made a black and white ripoff, right? Like
Right.
if I got one thing out of a lot of the stuff I saw at this Gamescom, it was little snippets of game genres that have kind of died out.
Hmm.
And part of me looked at them and thought, I don't know if this is going to be a success, but I hope it is, if only to like inspire more people to do those different things instead of just kind of remaking the same action game over and over and over and over again.
Right. Let's see. My next game obviously is going to be Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Yet again, I am incredibly excited for this game. And the more I see of it, the more I like it. They not only had a trailer, but they also had gameplay. And the gameplay looks amazing. Let me get to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 trailer. And
And
okay.
they not only had a whole trailer, but they had like a whole 30-minute
That's what I mean,
gameplay deep dive.
gameplay, 30 minutes of gameplay, and it
Yeah.
looks great. I've also heard a ton of reviews of people that have had their hands on it in early, early stages of
Yeah,
it,
a lot of
and
previews.
they say it's really, really good. Um, so it looks like that, Henry, now an adult, is going to be fomenting a rebellion, for against, the usurper Ludwig, who is on the throne, and, which is essentially just an extension of his story. I don't know that they're going to make anything different than they did from the original game. I didn't see anything particular that is unique or different to it, but honestly, that's
I
this was a strong enough game. This was a strong enough story, and just completing the story and doing more of it is enough.
yeah,
Just
based on
give
what
me
I based on what I saw from the gameplay trailer and hearing a streamer I like talk about what she saw during her preview, it's kind of a lot of the same, but more built out, more
yes,
fleshed out in a
right.
way that
Well, because they
you
had
can
more
do
than
with a
11
sequel.
people working on it.
Yeah. Um, one of the things they mention in that gameplay trailer specifically is how the world reacts to your actions.
Mhm.
How if you have a bunch of stuff and you drop it on the ground, people will come over and take it. So
Right.
like if you walk by a beggar and you drop your hat, if you come back later, you'll see him wearing your hat. Uh
That's awesome.
if you kill like the innkeeper, then if you come back later, you'll find his wife crying because her husband died.
Mhm.
And the streamer was like, "Oh man, that means everyone I kill is going to
As a
have
family?
as a does that mean that every time I kill someone, I think about the family that
Yeah,
I
what about the children? Uh-oh. Yeah,
literally,
you're gonna be making widows and orphans every NPC
literally.
you kill. Yeah, yep, that is a thing.
But like that level of world reaction,
Yeah.
uh, wasn't in the first game. I think there
No.
was a level of world reaction, but not to that degree. But what I got a lot out of watching this, watching the demo, hearing them talk about it, and then knowing what I know from the first game, I
Mhm.
feel like this it the way people talk about it, I feel like it's really poised to break out. This is going to be an Uncharted 2 situation where the first game came out, did pretty well, but kind of didn't set the world on fire. Uncharted 2, like with games, it's always the sequel, right? Uncharted 2 became the smash hit. Mass Effect 2 became the smash hit. Assassin's Creed 2 became the smash hit. Um, um, God, what are some of the other ones? Like, it's always the sequel that really breaks out. And I think this has the potential to do that because specifically, I think this is the game that Bethesda should have made.
Right.
Right? This
Right.
is the
Well, I
the
thought
Beth-
that was the original one.
yeah, like this is the Bethesda formula actually taken to a next generation level. This is what people kind of were hoping for out of Starfield,
Yep.
something more along the lines of this. Not quite as like
Something with a
hardcore
character
RPG.
and a story that you felt invested in, that you felt part of, a world that was absolutely immersive.
Yeah, the immersive
You
world is what
and
got
you
me.
were you know this character. You feel for this character the way that I love Shepard and the way that I love Garrus and all the other characters. That's how I love Henry, because I saw him grow up from a child, to a young man, and I know his story, what he's gone through and the trauma that he's had. So I know who he is in a very personal level, that doesn't exist um, in any of the Bethesda games since, and doesn't exist in any of the certainly any of the Starfield and Todd Howard stuff.
Mm.
Todd Howard's never really had a main character. He's had a world that he plopped you
Well,
into.
yeah, and like that's not necessarily a bad thing
No,
because
it's
like
not necessarily a bad thing, but in this
Skyrim, the
case,
appeal
he's
of
a
Skyrim
very
was the
world.
world.
He doesn't have anything else for him to hang his hat on.
Yeah. And so like what I got looking at Kingdom Come, I thought, "Oh, this is what Elder Scrolls 6 should be. Like this level of world reaction."
Mhm.
Um but yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it looks awesome. I enjoyed the first game. Never beat it even though I put over 100
Oh,
goddamn hours into that thing.
I beat the hell out of that game, and I'll beat it again just for fun.
You're
God,
just going to beat that dead horse.
that horse is not dead, sir. That horse is absolutely living. Even
That's
now,
true.
you
Beat
have
that
not
living
played
horse.
Kingdom Come. Yes, it is first person, unfortunately. So AC Wraith, you can't do it. But if you haven't played Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, please do yourself a favor. Give yourself a lot of hours and a lot of
A,
patience,
a
but
lot of
that
hours is not
game
going to be
is
enough.
so worth it.
Yeah, a lot of hours is still not going to be enough, but you know what? The truth is, it's okay to not finish things.
It's
Like
okay to not
play
finish
it,
it, but it is very
play it and
satisfying.
enjoy it.
It-
I guess since we're kind of on the topic, I
Mhm.
will segue briefly to say there was a trailer for vehicles in Starfield. It's out now. You can play as the Dune Buggy and you can get to nothing faster. Whoop-de-doo. You don't have to bring up the trailer. Let's move on.
Okay. Next, one that you liked.
So what stood out to me, this is the next game from Don't Nod, the people that did Life is Strange. This is
Mhm.
not the next Life is Strange. This is Bloom and Rage. Oh no, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. And this is a very Life is Strange-esque story, but it has like a much more of a thriller mystery to it. The trailer is very much about watching these girls hanging out in the woods, kind of forming their band, Bloom and Rage. And it's got a lot of like Life is Strange-esque 80s nostalgia, kids coming of age feel to it.
Mhm.
Except that at the end of the trailer, you see that one of the characters has received this package that says only for Bloom and Rage. And that has their adults. So this is like decades after the fact. And so it hints at kind of a darker mystery along the lines of the show Yellow Jackets or It. You know, It is a classic horror story about kids then coming back as adults. And this kind of feels like it's playing that same sandbox where, oh, you're going to spend like a nice 80s afternoon hanging out with your friends, forming a band only to stumble upon something dark and sinister that then comes back as their adults.
Mhm.
And on one hand, that kind of appeals to me because I always like a good horror story. But on the other hand, it and I'm glad that there's another new Life is Strange coming
Right.
because I keep talking about genres that you don't see much in games anymore. Coming of age stories are a genre you do not see a lot in video games.
No, and especially coming of age stories about young women that respect young women.
Yes. And so
They write beautiful stories for young women. And I mean not beautiful as in like beautiful pretty. I mean beautiful as in like, yeah, this is these are the girls that I hung out with. These are the girls that I recognized from my childhood. And these are the girls that a lot of girls recognize from their childhood. It's like the Secret Life of Girls video game.
yeah. And so I'm glad to see Don't Nod kind of branch out and make something, very different. E- Although, Life is Strange was radically different when it came out. And so I'm glad to see that there's just more Life is Strange of that. This
Mhm.
one feels like you're mixing that with a bit more horror, thriller, mainstream elements, which I'm interested to see how that plays.
Mhm.
Taking that coming of age story, but mixing it with something darker and like
Right.
more mainstream for video games.
Right.
But I will say, like, I really like Don't Nod as a studio because they always make something wildly different. They had a game earlier this year called Banishers: Ghosts of New Eden, which I
Mhm.
have not played, but I did buy it like because it was on sale like during one of the sales this year. Uh,
Mhm.
but it got decent reviews. Look at one of those things that just kind of comes and flies under the radar of everyone. I don't know how they're still in business, but I'm really, really glad that they are because they keep making weird, interesting games.
Mhm. It sounds awesome, and I'm looking forward to that very, very much so. Let's see. Do I have anything else that really stuck out to me? I'll talk about this. It doesn't necessarily stand out to me, like stand out, but I mean, it's not like a game like, oh, I can't wait. And I heard so much about this, and no, that's not what that is. But it looked really good for a game that I would normally not play and probably won't. COD Blobs. It looked
Oh,
good.
I when you left, I talked about
Oh, you
COD
did?
Blob 6, saying specifically, you know what, that looks kind of cool.
That looks kinda cool.
It's been a while since I've played one of those
Uh-huh.
action spectacular campaigns, and I think I'm kind of in the mood for it again. It,
Yes,
it
exactly
also
how I feel.
It also really helps that since it's coming to Game Pass day one, it doesn't have the $70 price tag on it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, the barrier to entry to that kind of spectacle is a lot less. You can do it for a movie ticket, right? You can spend $20 for a Michael Bay movie, or you
Mhm.
can spend $20 on Game Pass and play Michael Bay the video game.
Right. Right. And that's exactly how it felt. And there were a lot of, it a certain element felt like like Hitman, that you had multiple ways of doing it, multiple contacts that you could do
Hmm.
this through. It felt more of a Hitman, at least this what they showed on the trailer. Of course, Bill Clinton, you gotta love the Bill Clinton throwback.
Yeah.
But,
'Cause, yeah, COD Blops is always takes place in the past, the Black
yeah,
Ops games.
but, you have these multiple contacts that you could get access to where you need to go through, and that simply that makes it feel like a Hitman where you have to strategize how you wanna do it, and then once you're in, do you wanna go loud? Do you wanna go quiet? How do you wanna do this? I love this. In fact, it feels almost more Hitman than it does Call of Duty.
Hmm.
Or maybe I'm wrong and Call of Duty always felt like this, but, uh,
No, I
yeah,
played enough Call of Duty.
yeah, I
Although
played
I
enough
will
Call of
say,
Duty, I don't remember it ever being like
what
this.
what got me interested in Black Ops 6 is at some point in the trailer there's a big car chase, and I just saw that and was like, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, let's see if I can
It,
get to the car chase.
the kind of grand like chaos spectacle. Like, yeah, I could do.
Yeah, like,
Oh, look.
especially the car chase where
Riding
you're
it through the
using
museum.
one
Yeah.
guy as it's just fantastic. Running through a campaign like in a ballroom campaign into just this crazy ass shooting, get yourself through it kind of situation. Oh, so awesome. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Look, this
No,
this is like,
this felt like Hardcore Henry, which I watched.
oh, you
Amazing.
saw it.
Oh
Did you like it?
if you have not watched Hardcore Henry, oh my God, what a great movie. What
Right?
a great, great movie. But this felt like Hardcore Henry.
Yeah,
This was
yeah.
Hardcore Henry.
I mean, that's the point of it, right? Hardcore Henry is basically a
Video.
first-person shooter
Yep.
made into a movie.
Yep. And this whole thing just looked so good. And I'm
Oh, speaking of nostalgia, AC Ray says, "Man, the days when we thought sex crimes might make a president impeachable. Light years away."
yeah. Yeah. Remember when having sex with an intern was an impeachable offense? So yeah, I'm I've never been interested in a Call of Duty game, but that was the trailer that made me go, I'm I'm kind of down for this. I'm kind of down for this a lot.
Yeah. I will say, what also keeps me interested is knowing that, oh, that campaign is probably like 6 hours at most.
Right.
Which, like playing through Lost Eidolons for several hours, playing through Black Myth Wukong is like it's not like 80-hour game, probably more like 50. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of big games coming out. So it's nice to know that I've just got this action miniseries waiting for me.
Mhm.
Speaking of action games, I didn't watch. I scrolled through the roundup of the Future Games show, which
Mhm.
actually had a lot of stuff that jumped out at me. More than the Gamescom opening night.
Right.
One of which is this game that looks like the second coming of Sleeping Dogs called Spine,
Mhm.
which is just like a third-person action game, but it's got a lot of like cool, brutal takedowns that made me think of Sleeping Dogs.
Mhm.
And I've actually had Sleeping Dogs installed on the PS5 for like the past 2 years because I keep wanting to go back to it.
Mhm.
So looking at this kind of like hit me right in the heart of, oh man, it's been a while. I want to do that.
Nice.
They say that this is like the gun fu game.
Gun fu. Okay, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I remember what was the Christian Bale gun fu movie. It's not The Equalizer. It starts with an E.
I'm looking at
Emotion, but it's like a classic Christian Bale in an action movie.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Another badass action movie that's like all about gun fu. Yeah, Spine. This is gun fu.
I'm down for this. This looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally down and good for this.
It jumped out at me as like a cool action stuff.
Yeah. All right, so last one that I want to bring up is I'll bring it up I'll bring them up together because they kind of fit together. Reanimal and Little Nightmares 3, which look almost identical. Little Nightmares 3 being a 3D platformer, it's due out in 2025. Reanimal is kind of a fucked up stealth. It doesn't seem like a platformer as much as a stealth survival. That's where I see a slight difference. But they both look very, very similar in that you're a small creature in a big world of scary things. There's an element of cute to it, kind of in that Nightmare Before Elm Street kind not before Nightmare Before Christmas kind of cute messed up genre. They both look good. I think that they're going to end up canceling each other out. Certainly when you put them up next to each other.
I can see that.
So tell me that, and I did not know the I was familiar that there was one of them made the other, and now they're not doing it anymore.
Um,
But I
Re-
wasn't sure of the actual, like connection to the two.
Reanimal is made by the team, the developers that did Little Nightmares 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
Little Nightmares 3 is being developed by someone else at Bandai Namco.
Got it.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. Supermassive Games is making it.
The people behind the Dog Picture Anthology?
Yep.
Huh. That is a hardcore departure from what they're known for. But
Right.
yes, Supermassive is making Little Nightmares 3, and the developers of Little Nightmares 1 and 2, I don't know their name, they are making Reanimal.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is Little Nightmares 3 right here. And then and so you kind of get a sense of that there's platforming involved and puzzle and co-op, and you're kind of hiding from bigger things that want to kill you, that are big nightmares, I guess.
No Little Nightmares here.
No, and then there is Reanimal, which is a totally different game, but then again, not a totally different game. All right, so let me pull that up so that you can all see it. This is Reanimal. No competition there.
Oh, Tossier.
Yeah, Tarsier. And you can see it looks very, very, it has that same feel, where there's like you're these kind of cute little half animal beings in this world of big, kind of warped, fucked up beings. And you're trying to hide from them and traverse. I guess it looks like traversing the world somewhere.
Mhm.
You don't get a sense that there is this a platformer the way that Little Nightmares was clearly a platformer, but maybe it is.
Yeah, it looks like someone, because Little Nightmares takes place on a 2D plane. And this looks like it's kind of playing around with that. Like sometimes it's like this, where you're going forward and backwards, other times it's left and right. So it looks like it might play with the perspective
Mhm.
more.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're obviously going to try then end up canceling each other out depending on when they come up. But no doubt there is going to be that was Reanimal, by the way. Um, as they're as they're coming out, there's going to be obvious comparisons.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely.
I think that that's almost a good thing that the guys that are making Little Nightmares 3, because they know that Little Nightmares 1 and 2 were good, and those guys are making essentially a clone that is also coming out. They have to push themselves to quality because they're gonna get compared.
Yeah, they're
There's just
competing with their
slacking
own
on.
legacy.
Right. They're competing with their own legacy because their own legacy is actually making a game to compete with them. This is why uh 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 that's why competition works. This is what a free market is that there is no IP. You have to make a good game. They both have to make the best possible games they can. There is no sitting back on their laurels for the IP. We're just going to make something good enough. They can't make something good enough because Reanimal is there to eat its lunch. Same thing with Reanimal. It's got to be better than Little Nightmares 3. So I'm all for this. Those two games, given the environment in which they are being made, have the possibility of being some of the best games of the year
Hmm.
because they have to be. One of them, they're both trying very hard to be that. And they have a lot on the line to be that. And they're obviously developer, the producers, the publishers all want this to be the very best of those two games that are going to get compared.
Yeah.
I predict one of those is going to be the breakout hit. I predict one of those is going to be the breakout hit because of the competition.
AC Ray said, I love the atmosphere, but I hated Limbo so much that I avoid any game like it.
I did not like Limbo
What did
either.
you?
I'm actually interested in these 2 games.
I thought Limbo was the better of the games that that studio made. But what did you hate so much about Limbo?
I really did not like the gameplay. I just it just never really caught on, and I never felt like I wanted to go farther in the game. It's
Hmm.
just me. I recognize that
Uh,
it is beloved. Yeah, trial and error BS. It's another reason why
yeah,
is that it became more frustrating than it was fun for me. I'm right there with you.
okay. Little Nightmares does kind of have some of that DNA, but I think less so. It feels more puzzly,
Mhm.
but I don't know. There's when the puzzles involve life and death, there's going to be
Always gonna be
some
more interesting stuff, but
trial. But
this
there's
is
always going to be some trial and error, right? Because you die and then you have to come back.
right, right.
Um, but do you want to keep watching this?
No, I'm just putting it up there just for, interest stake, just for good visual. So anyway, um,
It's okay.
yeah.
Uh, my other game from the Future Games show is a game that coincidentally I was just thinking about the first one not too long ago, and I realized I don't that game was never ported to modern consoles, and that's a real damn shame.
Mhm.
Do you remember Monaco?
Monaco? No.
Monaco, the heist kind of pixel style heist co-op game where like one person
Oh,
was the
man,
driller that
yes.
could drill through walls, one person was like the seductress who could distract guards, one person was the
Oh, this is
hacker.
absolutely dancing on, like, a distant memory filed very deeply in the hard drive.
Yeah. So, they are making a sequel,
Called Monaco 2.
Monaco 2. Um and so part of me is really excited because I remember Monaco was just a really fun game. But part of me is also a little wary and hesitant because one of the coolest things about Monaco was its art style. If you could find a video of the original game, you could see
Yeah.
the shocking difference. This game is so much more detailed, so much more just like bigger budget in kind of every respect. But I think it also looks a little bit more generic. And so I just don't know
That's
how
right.
I feel
Monaco,
about it.
what's yours is mine. Here, let me pull you
Yes.
down. Let me pull
So you've
me
seen the new game, you've seen Monaco 2. Compare that to Monaco 1.
Oh, wait a minute, really? That it? There we go.
Can you skip ahead?
This
I was
isn't
just
what I want.
watching.
Yeah,
There we go.
there's
There we go. Like this, the kind of neon style where you're basically playing through the blueprint
God,
of
yes,
a
I remember this
location.
now. Oh god, yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
and
is a great
every time you've got your vision cone, but it's like a
game.
really heavily stylized vision cone.
Mhm.
Where like if you're not looking in an area, it's pitch black and you kind of just see the blueprint of a building. But you're
Right.
playing it all from the top down perspective. Uh it's so stylized, it's so colorful. And to compare that to I'm gonna
I'll add it. Yeah,
put
there
the
you
other
go.
one back. This one, I as much as I would like more Monaco, this one just looks so much it looks so generic. It just kind of looks like, I don't know, some sort of indie co-op action game, but I don't get any of the cool style that I think is what made Monaco stand out to begin with.
Maybe. I don't know. I could see it, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm of two minds. Like on one hand, a sequel was announced to the game that I was just thinking about. Like, oh man, they haven't. Where's Monaco? And Monaco 2 is announced, but it's like also not my Monaco.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, I've kind of hit the end of all the stuff that stood out to me. Anything else for you that you want to continue on about?
oh yeah, I have several more things.
Okay.
Uh the next game from the Future Games show is Atomfall, ATOM Fall, which seems like it's following in the footsteps of Atomic Heart, but
Mhm.
set in England instead of Russia.
Right.
It's a first-person kind of exploration adventure game. They compare it to kind of parts of Fallout and parts of Metro and parts of BioShock. Like they bring up these games, so it's clear they want to evoke that. And there's a lot of exploring. They say in the beginning you come out of a bunker and you're kind of in this apocalyptic England and you're trying to figure out what happened, which is very Fallout and a little bit of Atomic Heart.
Right.
And so you're exploring this environment, just trying to figure out what's going on. And there's not much beyond that, but I think it looks pretty cool. Just the world seems interesting, and as someone that likes BioShock and Fallout and Metro and Atomic Heart. No, AC Wraith. This was from the Future Games show. The Future Games show was another specific set of trailers done within Gamescom.
Right. Right. As you see in the upper right-hand corner of this, what you're seeing is it says Future Game Show.
Yeah. Because none of these things were on Gamescom opening night. The Future Games show happened in like day 2 of Gamescom.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's you're dealing with weirdos in a kind of a post-apocalyptic England, and
Right.
there's not a lot of to the pitch beyond that. But I think it's an interesting pitch, and they evoked a lot of like games that have done well. So I like what I'm seeing.
Got it. Okay. Next.
Next, let me stop that one.
I'll you just tell them say what it is. I'll pull it up since I'm not doing anything else and might as
Oh,
well.
I've got all these like locked and loaded to go.
Okay.
This is a sequel. Speaking of Lost Eidolons, the game that I've been playing for the past couple weeks, this is Lost Eidolons Veil of the Witch, a sequel that looks like it has a lot smaller budget because there's a lot of, it's less like big 3D, but the art that they're using is so much more stylized. I think it looks so much better. Hey, okay, Kat, you wanna leave? I will let you leave. And in terms of like story, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't beat Lost Eidolon, so I don't know like what more there will be in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a cool tactics game, and to see this one like with this type of actual art, not like 3D models, but kind of more interesting, detailed what's what I'm looking for? Like digital artists, digital drawings. I think these characters, these character models, just have so much more personality than anything in the original game. And so even if the combat is the exact same, I think this game will be better simply because it's got an art style that more befits its subject matter and its tone. Because like last week I was saying how the art style and everything else about the game like really butt heads with each other. So I was excited to see this just because I feel validated in my criticism of the art style. Because look at these character models. They're so much more evocative. You get personality from them. So not a lot to the game other than that, just more art style.
Right.
This next one, I am not even gonna fucking try to pronounce PVKK. And PVKK is a like sim orbital defense game where the whole game is you in this little cockpit controlling an orbital cannon. And you can see right there the subtitle, however you want to pronounce that word.
What was it? You know what? I have a feeling you're not actually pulling up trailers. I have a feeling you're pulling up other stuff.
What are you talking about? You can see PVKK gameplay overview, future game show, Gamescom 2024. What the fuck? What? It's the exact same thing.
I don't know. We'll see. Give me a second, because I'm seeing talking heads come up, and it's not actually a trailer. I think that you're getting other stuff on there, but that's
The
just me.
talking heads were part of the future games show.
Right. Anyway, you were saying. All right, keep moving. So PVKK, which is
Yes.
Planet Thumpson.
I don't know how you want to pronounce that. You're sitting in this cockpit, just kind of making little tinkerings to control this giant orbital cannon that's shooting from the ground. And so a lot of the game is, you get a notice about something in the atmosphere, right? Something above the planet, and you have to make all the little calculations on your console in order to try to determine like velocity, trajectory, to try to get your cannon to match up with it. It's very much like a hardcore sim game, but
Mhm.
with this really, big sci-fi idea. And
There's
I
been
just
a
thought that was
number of
a
these where they're like, you have
cool
to
idea.
monitor, what's the word I want? You have to monitor, stuff, like CCTV cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, here, I can show you he's tinkering with his little stuff. There's a little bit of sim in there, right? You can get your tea and stuff. But then you come with the mouse, and it's a PC game where you're like hitting every button on this console
Mhm.
in order to get the right trajectory.
Right.
And I will probably never play this, but I will really enjoy watching people play
Other
it
people play it. Yeah.
because it's such it's a digital version of Steel Battalion, right?
Kind of sorta is. Or don't nobody keep talking and nobody explodes or something like that.
Oh yeah, something like that. Something where a lot of the appeal is the intricacy of the controls and having to manage everything. It's like a flight sim, but with a giant sci-fi orbital cannon.
Mhm. That does look kinda cool. Did he make it?
I can't tell from the firing log.
Yeah, I can't either.
But
Anyway.
yeah, cool thing.
Yep. So
And then the other one, there were a couple other horror games that stood out to me just because I like horror games. But the one that stood out to me that I think we might play,
Mhm.
and I'm going to bring up this trailer from the OT Games Festival instead of the Future Game Show, because the Future Game Show just showed it off for like 20 seconds.
Mhm.
But this is a game called Haunted Paws, and it's a co-op puzzle game where you play as two dogs who have to go into a haunted house to rescue their human. But it's
Oh.
a co-op puzzle game, and only one person has to buy the game for two
Oh,
people to
neat.
play.
Okay.
And so I saw this and I thought, this might be a game that we can play together.
We could
This is a horror game that's more up your alley.
Oh, absolutely.
Having some little cute dogs in there that you can, of course, customize the dogs, as you saw earlier.
Absolutely.
And yeah, a lot of it is very dog-like, where someone's just napping while someone else does all the work.
Well, no, he's stuck in jail.
Yeah, but he's napping.
Right, but, what else are you gonna do when you're stuck in jail? Take a nap. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, it looks very cute.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely be watching that or playing that.
Yeah. And yeah, other than a couple of the other horror things, that's most of what stood out to me.
Cool. So what are you gonna play this week? Anything interesting?
More Black Myth. I want to finish Nobody Wants to Die. Like I said, I'm so close to the end of that.
Yeah.
And I would like to play some I want to finish Lost Eidolons. Like I'm only halfway through that game, but I can already feel more games coming out that are like threatening to take me away from it. So I'd like
Yeah.
to
It's getting to be that time of year. I mean, we're getting into the September, October,
yes.
November part.
You know what comes out in 2 weeks that I didn't realize? Astrobot.
Yeah.
It's 2
There's
weeks away.
a lot of things coming out, and it's gonna get really tight really fast.
Yeah.
Gird your loins.
Mm.
Not right now, later, off camera.
Oh, okay. Off camera. Okay.
Yes, because this is a family show. Don't gird your loins right now. Sort of not, but I don't want to see any loin girding on my show. We have a express ban on that.
No nudity.
Full
Just violence.
real time loin girding. Yeah, really don't do that.
I missed this comment from AC Wraith. He says, for the canon, that was a miss. It blew up the planet from Borderlands 4.
That would be awesome. How awesome would that be that they actually end up having that as a cross game connection is the canon?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he also mentions the Plucky Squire
What?
comes out in a
Right.
couple weeks.
Right?
Yeah,
So many games coming. It's insane.
that's a couple weeks. Oh, Path of the Goddess. That was the game that I wanted to go back to. And there were like several other Game Pass games that now that I subscribe to it, I'd like to at least try out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see if I have time for any of those, because mainly I want to beat some people with a stick playing as a monkey.
Yeah, and I kind of do too. I'm actually more interested in it now than I was.
Hmm.
So, anything else before we close out the show? Because I would really not mind ending this at 4:00 and making it under a 2-hour show.
What can I talk about for 9 minutes?
Mm-mm. You're gonna have to do more because we started at 2:05.
But this says live 151, 12, 13.
Oh, that's right. 151.
14,
Yeah, you're right.
15,
You're right.
16. I'll just count for 9
Don't.
minutes.
No, please don't count for 9 minutes. I do have an appointment in a little while, so I would like to actually
Okay.
take the dogs for a walk before I go to my appointment.
Okay, because AC Wraith asked if we're still watching Tremors tonight.
Oh, by the way, I saw Twisters.
Oh, yeah. How'd you like it?
It was good. It was all right.
Yeah, it was solid.
It's solid. I mean, it was solid and predictable. I saw a movie that I can't believe that got a 92 on the tomato meter. A movie called New Life that I thought was just awful. It
Never
had
heard of that.
holes in it which you could drive a truck through. It's essentially a cat and mouse about a woman who meets a dog. She and her fiance are camping, and this dog walks up, and she makes friends with the dog. And the fiance is like, "Don't touch that thing. You don't know where it's been." Well, the dog gives them fleas. They don't take the dog home, but gives them fleas. And it turns out, you find out later, that the dog was infected with a unique strain of the Ebola virus that essentially instantly kills them, and then turns them into zombies. And she is immune. And so the two of them need to be captured so that A, they can isolate them, but B, so they can find out why she is immune. So she's like Typhoid Mary. And it becomes a cat and mouse of these slightly government agent trackers who are trying to get her because she escapes when she's captured by the,
So wait,
doc-
is this the movie?
that's it right there.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really, really wants to be good. Except at its core are some enough plot holes that you have to suspend a lot of belief in order to buy into this happening the way it did. Like any type of thriller movie where there's like a cat and mouse or a person that's being forced into running from whatever, there has to be a belief that this is what a normal, reasonable person would do. Like, well, you have to be cat and mouse. You have to have empathy or at least understanding on both sides that this is what, given their motivations, that cat would do and what mouse would do. And then that's the tension there. That's lacking here.
Okay.
So I thought it was terrible. It's got like a 92 on the tomato meter.
Where did you
It's
see this? Like,
not on
look,
Netflix.
is
I'm
that on
sorry,
Netflix?
Apple TV.
Okay. Did you rent it or is it like on streaming?
Rent it.
Okay. Because like I love movies and I usually know what's coming out and I had never heard of this.
Yeah, no, this is
But
out
again, there's like
on Apple TV, rentable. I think it was $5.99.
okay, yeah, there's thousands of movies that come out on demand like
Yeah,
every week that no one knows about.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if you're looking for a good cat and mouse movie, I saw one on Thursday called Strange Darling. Don't touch that mouse. I know what you're gonna do. You want to look up a trailer. Fuck those trailers. Don't look up a trailer. The less you know, the better. Because
Okay.
it's a cat and mouse movie that like one of the fun things about it is that you're not sure who's the cat and who's the mouse.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really really good one. It came out in theaters, very like super indie. I think it came out in like 500 theaters across
Mhm.
the entire US. But yeah, very very good one.
Okay. And I will turn you on to a movie that is available on, I believe, Apple TV for rental called Tuesday. Julia
Tuesday
Louis-Dreyfus plays a
sounds vaguely
mother whose
familiar.
daughter is dying of a terminal disease. I would say this is like fantasy, like weird psychedelic fantasy in a way.
Hmm.
Um, Death is a bird, and
Okay.
Death comes to take the daughter. And the daughter ends up making friends with the bird and
Hmm.
starts bargaining with the bird of like, just let me say goodbye to my mother, or let me have this. I just want to say goodbye to my mother. And the mother meets the bird, and the mother does what a mother would do when she doesn't want her child to die. And it becomes this very kind of weird, surreal, kind of fucked up, but kind of cool story. It's really, really good. I would recommend Tuesday, but
Okay. I mean,
also recommend
it's
that you
from 8
do
Tuesday is
not
from
watch it sober. Watch it sober.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is get drunk and high and then watch it.
Do not get drunk and high. Do not watch it.
I mean,
It's
it's from A24, which is a distributor that like has a reputation for really interesting things. So that
Mhm.
right there is like, okay, A24, that's a solid pedigree.
Yeah.
Anything that they put out is
Hold on.
generally
Yeah.
interesting.
Shush. Sorry. Yeah, it's a good, messed up, kind of screwed up, but also whimsical fantasy, whimsical dark fantasy, but also very serious and heartbreaking as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I would recommend Tuesday if you want to watch something but man, watch it sober. Do not do not make the mistake I did.
Oh, okay.
Don't get really high before you don't do that.
I don't know. Now I'm kind of wanting to.
Don't get really high before you watch this because you're gonna be like, is this the movie or is this in my head? I can't tell.
Is the bird coming for
Is the
me?
bird talking? Is the bird deaf? Just watch it straight. And then you can go back and get high and then watch it again.
Okay, okay.
All right.
I'm trying to remember what else I've been watching that's been good. I've just been like binging House of the Dragon.
Mhm.
That's still a good show.
Oh yeah, I have to watch. I've been watching. Oh, I'm almost done with the first half of the season for Welcome to Wrexham. I have been waking up
Oh,
at 7
yeah.
o'clock in the morning to watch games live. If you want to go, I mean, I'm planning to go to Wrexham.
Oh.
I'm planning to go watch them live early next year.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to like go to Wrexham with me to watch some home games,
I'll talk about it with Rachel.
just watch Sofa Tuesday. Yeah.
Oh man, can I just say that link that that AC Wraith put up, justwatch.com, wonderful website. Brilliant website. I use it all the time because it basically just shows you where is this movie streaming?
Yes.
Hey, this movie is out. Where can I rent it? Where can I watch it for free? Where can I buy it? And it gives you all those in like a very simple table format. And it's just like,
that's what
thank you.
That's what Chris uses, and he has got a filter, a custom filter created so that only the very, very best is shown. And then from there, he separated it out into things I should watch when Edie's not here and things I should watch when Edie is here. We have found the middle ground of don't watch this movie when I'm not here, and then bring out some fucked up horror, like sexual deviant horror film when Edie is here. Don't do that. That's a bad thing. You'll make Edie very sad or angry or both. So yeah, he's figured it out, and he's found that middle ground.
Okay. Oh, I was just gonna.
It does TV series as well. Yes, Just Watch is a fantastic site.
I was gonna say something. What was it? There was something right on the tip of my mind. Oh yeah, The Devil's Plan. It's on Netflix. It's a TV show. It's a game show. It's a Korean game show.
Oh, I've heard. Yes, you've told me about that.
It's did you ever see it?
I haven't seen it, but yes, I know. I know of it.
It's so fucking good. If you want the game show equivalent of like the mental cat and mouse games of Death Note, I kept thinking about Death Note, or there's a mech one like that. Oh shoot, there's a mech one like that. I can't remember it, but like Death Note, the mental back and forth of like puzzle solving has like this cat and mouse game. That show manages to actually capture that feeling in a like game show format. It's so fucking good.
Okay, I'll have to watch
And there's
that.
a season 2 coming.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. So I should go. Is there anything else you want to add before we close out the show?
Nah, I got past 2 hours. I'm happy.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I let you do that.
We've got to update our TV watching as well.
I let you do this. I want you to know that. I let you do that.
Yeah. Because we're talking about good
and I
TV.
like to indulge you when I can. So that when I can't indulge you, you know I really can't. So, on that note.
Oh, wait. AC Wraith still asked about Tremors.
Oh, are we watching Tremors?
Do we have a new date for Tremors?
Yeah, we're going to have to get a new date for Tremors because I have an appointment at 5:15 that I need to go to. And then we're going to have dinner. And then I don't want to start it at 8:00 tonight because I have big super like stuff to do tomorrow on Monday morning. I have my next Monday is one of my serious Monday staff meetings, or this coming Monday is my serious staff meeting. So I have to be prepared for that. I will update you on the Discord, and that's when we'll do Tremors.
Okay.
Plan?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So on that note,
check the Discord for new Tremors date.
Yeah, Tremors. Yeah, check the Discord. I have to figure it out because I've got a little bit of a complicated week. Tuesday, I am going up to Sacramento for interviews. Wednesday, I'm have a neighborhood council meeting, so it's all a little complicated, but we'll see how it goes. So I'll keep you posted. Let's close this out.
But there are broader concerns about.
Oh.
What were the broader concerns about?
GameHounds episodes. record this on Monday, August 5th, where I am basically get a hold of us at GameHounds.net, our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube, Facebook, here at GameHounds Kids, the idea, words, and videos. On Twitch, we are the GameHounds, Facebook, we are join us live next week. We'd love to have you and be part of the chat room. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. Gosh, you're great. Like all of our links, everything that we talked about, whether you saw them or not, if you can't find the link to it, go into the chat. Wherever you're watching this, there's going to be a link to it. So, please check that out. It's great. It's wonderful. All that work every week. I appreciate him. We do have a Discord server. Please join our Discord. This is where you can find out when we do things like when we are streaming cameras, when we are going to do gameplay, we're playing together. All of that is going to be happening through Discord, as well as other cool stuff like would you eat this? Thank God for Black Your Boy, who is putting up some of the most disgusting foods you can find in the supermarket right now. We're excited. We're doing this. Also, we put news tips. We talk about lead in the news ways people give you our news tips. Or just if you want to do some quick with us. Great place to do it. There's our Discord, Bill. There's our Discord right there. Discord link. We are Patreon funded 100%. $1 a month is all we ask. If you would like to join, sorry about that. If you would like to join our Patreon, $1 a month is all we ask for you to help us pay for all the subscriptions that we pay for in order to make this show happen. Patreon.com/GameHounds. $1 a month is all we ask. 25 cents a week. We hope you have a great week. Please be safe out there. Yes, COVID is still very much a thing. COVID shots are real. Go get one because we love you. We want to keep you around. Have a great week. Yes, Libsyn is behind. I will take care of that soon. Have a great week. Bye, everyone. All right, Nick, got to go to a meeting. Thank you. Yes, I know that it is behind. Yes, I will take care of that.
What? You gotta get a little.
Oh, little kitty cleanser.
Yep, on my desk. Best desk toy.
Best place for him, other than in your arms.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. AC Ray, thank you so much again, and everybody else who was listening, thank you again for being here. We will talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.